Your creative freedom is being taken away from you, and you don't even know it. Your creative freedom is being taken away from you, and you don't even know it. Hello, everybody. Welcome once again. My name is Jack, and if the algorithm found you, you are a fan of grunge music. My band is called Mera. Our brand new single, Burning Sea, just hit the shelves a week ago. It's setting the alternative rock world on fire. And you can stream it right here on this channel or anywhere you stream your music. And trust me when I say I thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart, because it is my belief that grunge heals. I know it healed me, and I know that it healed a lot of my fellow friends and musicians. Kurt Cobain and Nirvana were known for, their sort of nonchalant nature, right? Like, they kind of just, Nirvana did what they wanted, and they were as sloppy and as loud and messy and noisy as they wanted to be. But one of the misconceptions about Nirvana is that they were lazy, or that they were slackers, or that Kurt was just kind of like, whatever, man, I don't care. That's a misconception. In his book right here, it's called Serve the Servant by Danny Goldberg. He was Nirvana's manager. And in this book, he talks about how competitive Kurt Cobain actually was. And how, he worked very hard in that, he was consistent. Kurt was always writing songs. Chris Novoselic talks about how they would go on tour, and Chris would always go to a pawn shop or a guitar store and buy a used guitar or buy an electric guitar and give it to Kurt, because every time he put a new guitar in Kurt's hand, he would write like 10 new songs. So he was just so consistent in his output and his creativity. And that is a big secret about Nirvana and their success. You'll notice that the difference between Bleach and Nevermind, just a few years later, how much his songwriting changed, and that's not even including the production and all on the audio values and all that also changed with it. The production and the engineering, but just the songwriting itself changed so much. He grew so much as an artist. And I think that that's a big, big secret to success, is it's not necessarily how good you are, but it's how consistent you are. And I think that what kills a lot of musicians is when they get discouraged. That just kills their innate drive to create more music. It's just, a lot of that comes from jealousy. And I think that, if you break jealousy down, jealousy is just fear, right? It's this fear. All of a sudden, we lose interest in what we're doing because we're paying attention to what other people are doing. You see, when we're scrolling through social media, this is a very, very passive role to take. You're letting other people decide what you're going to do with your time and energy. But when you turn that off and you go inside and you sit down and you do what you need to do, you pick up the guitar, you sit down at the piano, you sit down at the easel, or you sit down with your pen and paper and you start writing, you are taking that power back and you are actually doing the creating. And that is a much, much more powerful role to take. And it's a much more productive role to take. When you going back to the album Bleach, they made that record in like a couple weeks for just, a few $100. Think about the the influence that, I mean, imagine if Nirvana had been like, why even bother? We are in the middle of nowhere. We're from a town that nobody cares about, which nobody cared about. In 1989, no one cared about Seattle. And they were like, why even bother? Like, they could have easily taken that and they could have just sat in their garage and done nothing. But that's not what they did, because they took the other point of view where they were like, you know what? No one, what the odds of us achieving any sort of big success is so small that we don't care anyway. So we're just going to do it. And that's what all of Seattle was. The entire scene was created around that sort of like, nobody cares about us but us. That's why all these bands shared band members. They all played on each other's records. They played shows with each other. They went to each other's shows. They supported each other. That's what it was in the beginning, before success made its way into the city, before Hollywood and Los Angeles and the big major labels infested the city and came in and just wanted to sign the next Nirvana and kind of ruined everything. And that created jealousy and, money and and that's what kind of like broke up what was initially like this beautiful little collective of artists that is always the genesis of a music scene. And Nirvana they were just doing what they were doing, and Bleach happened, and because of Bleach we got Nevermind, and because we got Nevermind we got In Utero. We got the whole alternative music revolution of the early 90s, which right now in 2025 is more relevant than ever, because we have a new independent alternative network, which is called the internet. It's called social media. And yeah, there's evils. Social media can be bought and paid for, and we can, have the algorithm control our minds, but we can also use it and not let it use us. That's the key. And it's an independent platform for you to put your artwork out there. Rick Rubin said, you're a success as soon as you take what you've made and give it to the world. As soon as you put it out there, as soon as you release it for other people to hear, you're a success instantly. Because you've already unleashed your art into the world to hear it. You've no longer kept it to yourself. Keeping it to yourself, when you think about it, it's kind of selfish. This is your gift to give to the world, right? The creator, the universe that created us, that put art in our soul, that put our ideas and our creativity, what put us in our bodies, that was put there for a reason. And it's inside of you, so you can then give it back. It's your gift back to the universe. So don't hold it in. So what's the difference between, an artist that is just sort of stuck and blocked and misunderstood, and an artist that is productive and doing work? And the answer is just one word, and that's consistency. Right? It's consistency. It's showing up every day and getting it done. And I know it's easier said than done, because at first, you're excited, you're writing songs, you're making videos, you're posting, and you can work just off of that enthusiasm right off the bat. But, what about when you get sick? What about when you're tired? What about when you're busy? What about when you're frustrated? What about when you're depressed? What about when you're bored, right? You've got to keep doing it during those times as well. Now, what is it that powers you during those moments when you're sick, depressed, tired, bored? I would say it's when you have an intention. An intention is your purpose that's bigger than what you're doing. It's bigger than just alternative rock. It's bigger than selling records. It's bigger than an algorithm. It's your purpose. It's why you're here. It's what you want. And you don't want to waste any more time. And you know that when you get up and you make that video, or you make that post, or you write that song, even when you don't feel like it, you're setting yourself up for success in the future. It's not happening today. You're not getting that instant gratification you get when you click on your social media and you see that like, or you see that comment, or you see that subscribe, or you see that picture that you want to look at. It's not that instant gratification. You're setting yourself up for the future. You're doing it now because you know it's going to pay off later. And you know what? That feels good. That's a good feeling. You can go to bed at night knowing you did your work. You did your work for the day. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. At the end of the day, you can do your best, and that's it. And you know, there's something to be said for getting it done. You know, there's another great book that I would like to recommend. Elizabeth Gilbert. It's called Big Magic. And in this book, she has a quote that I say all the time. Done is better than good. Done is better than good. Now, I don't mean just release a bunch of crap. You know, I don't mean just write garbage. You're not going to do that anyway because you make good music. You make good art. I know you do. But what I'm saying is you don't want to sit there and micromanage it. Don't be a perfectionist. Don't worry about it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. It doesn't. In fact, it's not perfect. Bleach wasn't perfect. Jack Endino talks about how he only had like an hour to mix 12 songs. He's like, what if I had a week to do this record? What would it have sounded like? It's not perfect. But yet, here I am. I was just in Seattle last week, and they have a Sub Pop store right in their airport. I used to work at Sub Pop a long time ago. And I bought the Bleach cassette. And I was just listening to this. I was just listening to this album on cassette. Not the greatest, audio format, but it sounds brilliant. It's such a good record because it's not perfect. They just got it done. And you know what? Done was better than good because look what Bleach gave us. It gave us Nirvana. It gave us Nirvana. So I challenge you to go 1 week. Go 1 week. See if you can do it. 5 days without social media. Don't go on. Delete the apps from your phone just for 1 week. Go without social media. See what happens. See what happens when you turn off all that noise and return to what you truly love. See what happens. Record your results, and then come back to me and tell me how much you got done. I bet you're going to be real surprised at how productive you become. So yeah, that's your challenge. 1 week without social media. I would really like to know if you guys are actually going to try to do this. I know I'm a much happier person now that I scroll a lot less on social media. And let's all get back to work. Let's get back to making what we do. Let's go back to making what we love and doing what we do. And I want to thank you again for joining me here on Alternative Vibration. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter C. C is for creativity. C is for consistency. And C is for the courage that it takes to create your music and then show it to the world. It takes courage. And I salute you for that discipline and the courage that you've got to release your music. And I thank you for doing it. I'll see you next time right here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.